Iran's leaders were killed, its command structure was hit hard, and for a moment it looked like the war machine had finally been broken. But then, Iran kept fighting. How does a country keep fighting when its leadership is being hunted and its most importanters are gone? The answer is far more complicated than missiles and soldiers. Because Iran built something designed to survive exactly this kind of, or even a single battlefield. And today we're going deep inside that system, how it keeps fighting. Let's begin.
Beyond the headlines, this is real truth.
Okay, picture this. It's the year 2026. A massive, ultra-high-tech military campaign called Operation Epic Fury has just dropped unprecedented AI-driven algorithmic warfare right on top of Iran. We are talking hyper-fast targeting, real-time data fusion, and precision strikes moving at a speed human brains can literally barely even process. The entire mission? Neutralize the regime's leadership in one fell swoop. The strikes land perfectly. The top commanders disappear. But the war machine, it just keeps fighting. How is that even possible? Today in this explainer, we're breaking down a pretty chilling strategic reality. Let's get right into it. So, for decades, military strategy has basically relied on one very simple, intuitive rule. If you want to kill the snake, you've got to cut off its head, right? We just assume that decapitating a government automatically shatters it into a million disorganized pieces. But this 2026 scenario, it completely shatters that assumption. Here is exactly how this plays out. Late December 2025, crippling economic protests sweep across Iran. The regime is looking seriously vulnerable. Then, February 28, 2026, an allied algorithmic warfare conflict officially kicks off. It's a lightning-fast, totally AI-driven assault. And by early March, the unthinkable actually happens. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and the entire top brass of the IRGC are eliminated. On paper, that is a flawless military victory. Which brings us to the massive mystery at the heart of this explainer. The tactical decapitation worked perfectly. The AI made the targeting absolutely flawless, but strategically, it was a complete failure. The regime just didn't collapse. So, why? Why didn't it fall apart overnight like we saw in Iraq or Libya?
Well, military planners are super used to dealing with personalistic autocracies. Think Saddam's Iraq or Gaddafi's Libya. Those are basically a house of cards that collapse the second you pull the dictator out. But Iran isn't built like that. It's a highly institutionalized system. It relies on these horizontal councils that make decisions by consensus. It was deliberately hardwired from the start to survive the loss of individual leaders. It absolutely does not rely on just one guy.
Literally just days after the strikes, the system adapts. March 8, 2026. Mujtaba Khamenei is rapidly elevated to the new supreme leader. The IRGC basically engineers this whole thing behind closed doors, strong-arming the assembly, so they can project ultimate resilience to the world. They're sending a loud message. Even facing an existential, sci-fi-level tech threat, the state is still fully online.
It's honestly like a hydra. The hydra still has heads. Despite these unprecedented AI strikes, the war machine simply shifts gears. Surviving commanders step seamlessly right into the void. You've got guys like Quds Force Commander Ismail Khani or Ahmad Vahidi stepping up on the National Security Council. The central brain isn't dead at all, it just rerouted its neural pathways. Okay, but politics at the top is one thing. What happens down in the dirt? How does an actual military keep fighting when its central communications go completely dark? When the AI severs all top-down orders, how do the guys with the rockets actually know what to do? Enter something called Mosaic Defense, or Dafaye Mosaic. This is their secret weapon. Developed way back in 2005, General Mohammad Jafari basically watched the US roll through Iraq and Afghanistan and realized, yeah, Iran could never win a conventional tech war against that. So he designed a doctrine specifically to absorb superior conventional attacks by completely decentralizing the command structure. It intentionally authorizes local units to just act entirely on their own. Here is the terrifying logic of how that works in practice. First, the entire country is carved up into 32 independent provincial corps. Second, the very moment central leadership is wiped out or their comms get jammed by enemy strikes, the system doesn't freeze up. Instead, Step 3 kicks in. Local commanders automatically activate. They are granted full autonomy to unlock hidden weapon stockpiles and launch asymmetric operations. They are essentially sleeper cells, just waiting to wake up the second the brain goes dark. You've got to remember, the IRGC isn't a traditional standing army. They are a massive network of revolutionary militias. I mean, their original commanders literally studied Vietnamese guerrilla tactics. They aren't built for head-on tank battles, they are built for low-intensity, grueling, protracted guerrilla warfare. Their one and only goal is to outlast the enemy and impose unacceptable costs until the attacker just gives up.
And to do that, you need serious manpower. 38,000. That is the estimated number of Baji resistance bases scattered across the country. They're embedded everywhere: neighborhoods, universities, local mosques. It's a deeply ingrained, highly localized web of resistance that no AI algorithm can just wipe from the sky.
This sprawling Bazid militia is basically the regime's ultimate failsafe. It provides a bottomless pool of highly organized, ideologically driven fighters. You've got the Ashra battalions handling local defense, the El Zara and Kausar battalions running cyber and support, Imam Ali units completely locking down urban centers, and the Fatin special forces ready to go for advanced combat operations. So when the regular army gets hit, this massive shadow army just activates.
Now, to be fair, the 2026 algorithmic war does severely damage their external network. The whole axis of resistance, proxies in Lebanon, Iraq, they're totally fractured and just fighting for their own survival. But the homeland, that internal mosaic defense web, is fully intact, operating exactly the way it was designed to.
Which brings us to the really chilling strategic fallout. The regime survives, the IRGC is fully in charge, but they have just been subjected to a massive, totally humiliating, high-tech assault that wiped out all their conventional deterrents. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. What does a wounded, surviving IRGC do next? Intelligence points to one pretty inescapable realization for them. Quote, Gaddafi disarmed and was killed. Kim did not disarm and is untouchable. For the surviving leadership, surrender is completely off the table. The only logical lesson they can possibly draw from this attack is that the single shield against American AI warfare is the ultimate weapon. Because of that, experts analyzing this scenario predict a rapid 5 to 7 year sprint for total nuclear reconstitution. Totally unburdened by any previous ideas of strategic patience, their institutional survival points directly toward rebuilding enrichment capabilities in deep, hardened, underground bunkers. They are going to want a weapon that makes the cost of any future attack completely prohibitive.
And that leaves us with one pretty terrifying final thought. We kind of just assume that absolute technological superiority, flawless AI targeting, algorithmic decapitation would solve the geopolitical problem. But by wiping out the old guard and triggering this highly decentralized war machine, did this strike just create a permanently hostile, unkillable nuclear state? It's a really dark limit to relying purely on tech, and definitely something we all need to deeply ponder. Thanks for diving into this explainer with me, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Beyond the headlines, this is real truth.